Union Smack has arrived, the world's going to shit, but never fear, we are still here to provide entertainment to the masses to still, somehow, in this messed up world we're living in 2020, to put smiles on your faces. I am back, Travis, alongside my co-host, the Maniac, Mask Tennant. See what I did? Huh?
Oh, very good, yeah.
What's going on, man?
Oh, yeah, like you said, world's going to shit. We're in the middle of an apocalyptic age, Travis. Can't go out of the house, can't pay the bills, can't eat because everyone's bought the food off the shelves, can't take a shit because there's no toilet paper, but hey, we're doing good here.
You can't even escape and watch a proper wrestling show right now.
Well, you can watch NXT UK that's going to have a crowd for the next month because it's pre-taped, but you know, we'll get on to the passion of this Coventry crowd shortly, I feel, but yeah.
Watch this be the thing of all things that puts NXT UK over the top, and they just start dominating in views and ratings because they're the only people with a crowd right now. Could you imagine?
Do you know what? I'd love that, but at the same time, I can't see it happening on the strength of what we're about to talk about.
Yeah. Obviously, guys, the situation in the world, I hope everyone's staying safe. It's got our format all out of whack. We're trying to reshuffle the deck. Let's get to how we usually do this. As always, Matt, where can everyone catch you, our store, and all that we do?
You can find me on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. You can buy our official merchandise from our online store, unionsmack.bigcartel.com. You can buy my Undertaker book, which will get you through the quarantine season, from completelynovel.com, and I'd usually now just about say you can or will be able to buy my NXT UK book, but finances the way they are right now, Travis, I'm going to have to put that on hold for a month or two until we know where we are.
The only person that probably doesn't understand that is Braun Strowman, but maybe we'll get to that later. No, it's totally understandable, and yeah, I mean, they'll have to settle for an audio form of the book on this podcast for free for now, so it works out.
Yeah. You got us every week, so
Sure
it'll do.
Have no fear. We do continue to keep providing this show weekly, no matter what's going on, until we completely cannot do it anymore. And that goes for all the shows on the channel. We still got your back. And me on Twitter at the Hibiki TMD. That little red button right down below. Hit it for all the best retro gaming, pro wrestling, heavy metal podcast goodness, all the nerdy funny bones on your body. We're going to tickle them if you let us, but we'll wear gloves. We promise. NXT UK, we like you said, Matt, the cat's out of the bag. There is some good news to come out of this. We are not in York anymore, thank God.
No, we're not. We've moved back to Coventry. And it is a backward step, I feel, because I was so hoping that the Coventry crowd would be like, do you know what, we've seen York. We're going to be better. We're going to be more involved. Oh, dear.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this was a blip because of the lackluster episode that we were given, but I don't know, Travis. I'm really not hopeful going forward.
I think I've asked you on this show before. I don't know when NXT UK tapes their weekly shows, if they do it out of order, they edit it around like MLW does, completely out of order, or it's in order. Either way, this show kicked off with Finn Balor coming out with Imperium and a little promo. What a pathetic, piss-poor reaction for Finn Balor that was. My God.
Yeah, agree. And you know what, just on what you said before, they usually tape it in order, but for some reason, the Coventry tapings have just been taped like... So the Battle Royal, that's, spoiler coming up, we're going to see in about 2.5 weeks-ish, was the very last thing taped, so they're all over the shop right now. It's like NXT UK are everywhere with these tapings. I don't even think they know from week to week what's coming up.
Yeah, and it's obvious if you just watch the show. Even if it was out of order, and I don't know if Balor had a match on these tapings later on.
He, apart from the main event of this show, he did have one on the second night of tapings, so I'm assuming we'll see that. I was going to say before TakeOver Dublin, but I don't think there's going to be one.
No.
So around about that time.
We could probably just let go Dublin. All hopes of it. If WrestleMania got fucked around with, there's no chance that Dublin stands a chance.
especially with all the borders closed. But yeah,
Either way,
Dublin, you're not getting it over here.
Either way, what I was getting at, even if he did wrestle and this was out of order, it's still Finn fucking Balor. You know what I mean? It just blew my mind. Like there was a point during his entrance with the music still being played, you could literally hear a pin drop.
Yeah. No one cared, and it was odd because I can categorically tell you this was the absolute first thing they taped in Coventry.
Insane.
And no one cared. Like right off the bat, no one gave a shit. And I'm not sure whether it was because it's like, they were warming up. Maybe that's the excuse they'll use. But I'm leaning more towards the fact that it's like Finn Balor really hasn't been that impressive. Like, at least for me. And we've talked about this in weeks past. But maybe it's a bit of that. Maybe it's a bit of, do you know what, his matches haven't been the best they could be. So let's not get our hopes up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm kind of on the other end. I am a Balor fan. I think he's one of the smoothest guys out there. It's just how they've booked him has made no sense. There's no reason he should have ever gone heel. Who wants to boo the coolest guy in the room? And I feel like he's not even in heel mode now. I think he's back to regular. Even though he has more of an edge to him, I think he's babyface again. One thing we glossed over totally, I'm going to back up the train a little bit. This was Andy Shepherd's debut on commentary. Super happy for the guy. You follow him on Twitter. He's a nice dude. You say when you went to Blackpool, in between stuff, he was excuse me, my alarm went off for some reason. He was the unsung hero of keeping that crowd alive in between takes and stuff. Just a lot of energy. And I'm glad he made the transition. How do you feel for week one that he did?
I felt he did okay. I'm not going to, sit here and suck his dick and say he was brilliant. There were obvious mistakes on commentary. I text, no I didn't. I'll start that again. I DM'd you on Twitter saying that there were like numerous continuity errors in the commentary, and I've got them written down as we go along. But able, I'll say, and I hope it improves in weeks to come because he's a great guy. He's a great talent, Andy Shepherd on the mic, and I'm going to put this down to first week nerves.
Same. I mean, I wasn't blown away either. And I think his weakest thing that I noticed every time that him and Nigel would kind of do that Bobby and Gorilla, playing off each other, it just didn't go over at all. It didn't feel like they had that kind of chemistry at all. It felt awkward.
Yeah, I agree. I think they need to work on the chemistry thing. But it's understandable that they don't have chemistry right now as they've not worked together, face to face before. But I will say about Andy Shepherd on commentary, every time he talked, without an American voice there, it made it sound more like watching an independent production rather than a WWE production.
I agree. It made it feel more worldly. Imagine that for a worldly brand. Finn Balor comes out, cuts a promo saying that he didn't come to boost ratings. He came here for Walter, interrupted by Imperium's music match surrounding Balor. I got to give it to, I like this little transition here. The slippery as the devil, covered in grease. They can't get their hands on Balor to catch him. He kind of got shots in all of them and got out of there. I liked it for what it was. I just, like we said, if that crowd was just a little more it would have gone over way more for me.
Yeah. The silence, and it was silence. I mean, Walter got a bit of a reaction, but even Imperium weren't greeted by the Coventry fans. So the silence didn't do it any favours. Maybe it's a sign of the times, Travis. Maybe it's a sign of, why are we caring?
Yeah. Any other things you want to add to this segment you liked or you didn't?
No. I didn't like the way he took out the whole of Imperium apart from Walter. But, the heels, they'll come back from it, I'm assuming.
Yeah. We can't really get pissed at that if we're fans of Sting beating the shit out of the NWO,
Yeah, that's true.
Up next, in my opinion, you may disagree, one of the worst things I've ever seen in this brand's history. Usually she's not like this. An awful promo from Piper Niven. It was fucking boring. It drug on. There was no emotion. I get it.
Yep.
She cares about her friend and blah, blah, blah. How are you Viper? How are you the same woman on the indies over there working heel? And how are you even the same Piper Niven to me watching this? It looked like I want to be anywhere else except cutting this promo.
Agreed. And I think this is the effect NXT UK have had. on, absolute superstars like Piper Niven and, even Walter to a certain extent. It's like they don't appear to have the passion to want to put their best forward anymore. And it's more a case of, we'll just get through these segments and then we'll go off to, where we want to make a difference.
Pretty much. This is obviously just leading up to another title match with her and Kaylee Ray. Early predictions, no matter if it takes place at Dublin, which it won't, or whenever it does, I don't think Kaylee Ray is losing the belt.
Nope, me neither. And this is how I see it going. Early prediction, possibly very early, because we may not get another takeover now until summer.
Oof.
Tony Storm's going to turn on Piper Niven, and we're going to get Niven and Storm leaving Kaylee Ray for someone else before Niven finally beats her for the title somewhere in 2021.
Is that the only option, the only plan B right now to make Tony Storm interesting, is to turn her heel?
Yes.
I agree.
Yes.
I totally agree.
And you know what? I felt like they were trying to backtrack on the whole I quit thing by make Tony Storm look weak by saying that, or implying that it was Piper Niven who talked her into quitting. Mm-hmm. Therefore, not as much damage might be done to Tony Storm's image, but it didn't work. Tony Storm as a hit babyface is done in NXT UK now, and if you don't turn her heel quickly, she's going to fade into the sea of faces you've got there.
It kind of feels like, if you look at a bigger picture, it's designed to do that too, because, I mean, the way she's been booked, she's always kind of, it's harsh, but her character's choked on the big stage every fucking time, except for once against Rhea?
Do you know, even her match against Rhea Ripley in Blackpool 1, it wasn't great. I think the only time she's had a good match on a big stage was Triple Threat, like this January at Blackpool 2, and that took two other women to help her get there. So one-on-one, no, I don't agree that she's ever, really done it.
It's not as drastic as a Sin Cara, but some talent just don't make a transition well when they come to WWE. Hideo Itami comes to mind. Just, some people can't do it.
No, and Tony Storm in Progress, Tony Storm anywhere else in the world, Stardom is such a different beast to NXT UK Tony Storm. And, to go back what I was on, well, Travis, I can't speak this week. To go back on what I was saying earlier, it might be the case, like, with Piper Niven and Walter. It's just that, why am I going to put my best on here when, obviously, there's nothing for me to do?
Yep, getting to a territory where we're just cashing checks, essentially.
Yep. Sadly.
Hype package for Tyler Bate. This put a little smile on my face. Once again, they're proving they're the best brand at doing these little packages. Tremendous little build for Tyler Bate. Just, where are we going is the question.
Well, it seems, we're going Tyler Bate, Finn Balor, or possibly Bate, Balor, Walter for the title somewhere down the line. But do you know what? I'd usually sit here and say, like, this is the destination. We're definitely going there. They're all over the shop again, Travis. I have no idea. Because this was filmed out of sequence for some reason. And, I mean, I won't spoil it for people. I'll get to the point I'm trying to make later on. But I thought I knew where Tyler Bate was going by what I read in commentary. But that wasn't shown on air at the end of this NXT UK.
Because didn't we talk about, like, last episode or before, we thought they were going Dragunov and Bate, right? For number one contenders, Matt?
No, Dragunov, spoiler coming up, everyone, wins the number one contenders battle royal. So originally, from what I read from the spoilers, I was going Dragunov Walter for the title, Bate and Bate and Finn Balor for the number one contendership. But do you know what? They've just flushed all that down the toilet. So I really don't know where they're going right now. Obviously, nothing's been announced for Dublin yet because even they know it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm interested, Travis, to see. I'm interested to get through Coventry and see where Bournemouth goes, like knowing that there's been no takeover. If we even get a Bournemouth taping.
Yeah. It's this fucking corner that WWE always books themselves into every time when they just sign all these fucking top guys for the sake of signing them. You oversaturate your own brand, and then you're just like, well, what do I do with all these top guys?
That's it. You've got so many men, and obviously, like, Ligero is one of them, and we'll get to him in a bit. But you've got so many men, so much talent, and you've not got enough ideas, you've not got enough creativity, and you've not got enough time to exhibit them all.
Yeah. Amen. Flat out. And people can make the argument, well, Vince McMahon, I mean, all those guys were top guys who stole from the territory. Yeah, but those guys had shit to do. It was a different era. You know, like, they weren't just... Ligero, perfect example. You said him. We're going to get to him a little bit. But maybe the most perfect example, not named Travis Banks, of squandered fucking talent in this brand.
Agreed. He could have been so much more. And now he's just, like we said earlier, cashing a paycheck, because they never, and I can say that with certainty, ever going to do anything with Ligero.
Nope, not even a cruiserweight champion at this point.
Nope. I'd take Ligero and Devlin for the cruiserweight title in a long series, but they're not going to do it because NXT UK don't plan for the long term, and obviously Devlin is going to need to be back in NXT once USA open the borders again.
How great would a best of 7 series for that title be with those two, by the way, if they pulled the trigger?
Amazing. That would be amazing.
Or Travis Banks. Swap him out with Ligero, doesn't matter.
What wouldn't be amazing is if they recorded them 7 matches over a 2-night span and then jammed them into 6 weeks worth of television.
Yeah, which is, that's what they would do. They can't help themselves.
Yeah.
Gotta save money, pal.
Gotta save money.
Pretty Deadly versus Darius Gordon and Dan Maloney, who is Rusev's little brother. Don't tell me otherwise. Looks just like him. I mean, these guys are, we've seen them before, Stoker and Halley. They weren't Pretty Deadly then. Obviously, big tag on the indie scene over there. These guys are money. Flat out, just looking like 2 terrorizings out there, just completely look like their gimmick, and I just hope we hear some more from them. I hope we hear something from them in a promo. There's tons of potential here, but we got to learn who these guys are and why they're so arrogant,
Yes, agreed. And I'm glad you liked them, because I love Pretty Deadly, and I was sure, like, after a few matches, you'd be like, maybe not. Like, they're just going to job them out after 3 months, but I'm glad we see eye to eye on that.
I'm full of surprises, man.
Do you know what? I think with Do you know what? I'm just fucking done tonight, Travis. I can't talk. I'll start that again. With teams like Pretty Deadly in the division, and obviously teams like The Hunt, etc., there's no reason why Gallus should have no competition on a continuous basis.
I agree. Dare I say, I'll go even further. There's no reason those 3 and Gallus should even still be in this fucking brand. Why aren't they on NXT by now? Why aren't they on SmackDown? Why aren't they on just doing something else? They're not needed.
Yeah. I don't want to see Joe Coffey go up and get buried anywhere else, but I just feel like they're using them for the sake of using them right now.
It would be better than another fucking South Wales Subculture versus Gallus match, which I'm not dying to see anytime soon. Not that they're bad matches, but we've been there and done that.
Yeah. Agreed. We're treading old ground now, and there's no need to.
This was a pretty decent little match, and I'm surprised that Maloney and Gordon got as much offense as they did, quite frankly. But, it was more competitive than it had any right to be. But like I said, Stoker and Halley, they're just great teamwork. They think as one, you can tell. They've been doing this for a while, teaming up together. I cannot remember the name of their finisher, but I like it, and that's what got them the win.
It's Deadly Pretty.
Deadly Pretty. See, I want to call it Deadly Premonition. I think that'd be such a better finisher name.
That would be good, yeah. I like that. I will say, Maloney and Darius Gordon, they could easily fit into this tag team division. Like, they're really talented, and I'm not a fan of Maloney on his own.
No.
But obviously he's been a tag team wrestler for the majority of his career. Like, he was in a tag team with Tyler Bate early on in his career, and several other guys down the line. But I would like to see them taken seriously, like sign them properly, and put them into the division. It can't hurt.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you think of this little showcase match?
I enjoyed it for the most part. The only thing that ruined it really for me was Andy Shepherd. As much as I love Andy Shepherd, trying to get over the fact that Pretty Deadly have been a tag team all of their careers, and it's not true. Like they were singles wrestlers for a very, very long time before they came together.
There you have it. That's why Matt's here, to point out all the little nitpicky flaws that they mess up. This is easy shit too. Like, why even throw a line like that in if you know it's not factual? It added nothing. Like, it just made you look dumb and uninformed to people that have been watching these guys on the
And the thing is, it's like you're not doing it to an audience who don't know them. If you were doing it to an American audience who obviously wouldn't know Stoker and Howley if they'd never watched NXT UK before, that's fine. You could make an American audience buy it, no problem. But you're talking to an audience who have followed the indies for years. You've seen Sam Stoker win heavyweight titles in the United Kingdom. You've seen Lewis Howley been part of factions, and it's just like you can't make us buy a story that we know isn't true.
Yeah, exactly. Backstage, Alexander Wolf confronts Johnny Saint. Sid Scala says he wants Finn Balor tonight. Yeah. I mean, that was short and sweet. It was what it was. What I want to talk about right after this, we see Jordan Devlin return to NXT UK in like a month. He was not at the York tapings. I think you said he was nursing an injury, right?
Yeah, he had tennis elbow, I believe it was.
There you go. Is he a babyface now? Because this was super fucking confusing.
I have no idea. I will have to wait until I see his reaction against Travis Banks, I think, on the episode we'll be reviewing next week. But he looked good. Babyface or heel, he looked fucking good. Tanned. He looked fresh.
Look rusted.
Yeah. Whatever he is now, I like it. And I will just say it's like, this was basically to announce him versus Travis Banks. But what has Travis Banks done to earn a title shot?
Well, you forgot to say an old foe 36 times.
Oh, sorry. The old foe, Travis Banks, what has he done to earn a title shot? He's not... I can't remember the last time he won a match.
Yeah. If anything, why not A-Kid or somebody, I don't know, whatever. Somebody with some momentum. Either way, we're getting Banks and Devlin in a couple weeks. Up
Couldn't
next.
be less excited about that,
yeah,
Travis. And I know you couldn't by the tone of your voice.
Pretty much. Can you blame us? So speaking of that, let's keep that momentum going. Ligero versus Noam Dar. Go.
Oh, no, first it was South Wales Subculture and Dave Mastiff in the Performance Centre.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Interrupted by Gallus. What the fuck was this?
I put it this way. I want to see a marathon of Banks and Devlin before I want to see one of these 6-man tag matches. That's how much I give a shit about this.
Yeah. You've done this to death. Andrews and Webster versus Gallus was the 8-week storyline that kicked off NXT UK in 2018. And then it went on to Mastiff and Coffey. And it's just like, we've seen this a million times.
Yep. And by the way, shocker, we're flip-flopping on Joe Coffey again. We don't know if he's a heel one week or a face again.
I don't think they know. I think he's doing the old Big Show thing where it's just like, he'll turn up and then they'll tell him what he is that week.
Yeah. It's got to be. It's got to be. How do you go from that little holding off your boys to beat up Dragunov as like the ultimate babyface move to this just in like 2 weeks?
Yeah. It's laughable, Travis, and I don't want to laugh at it because it's so bad, but if I don't, I'm going to eventually sour on NXT UK, and I don't want to do that either.
Another thing, if this was anyone's first time watching NXT UK ever, this specific episode, or I'm sorry, last week's episode with Mastiff and Walter, that was their first exposure. And like, oh, I'm going to check out this again. They watched it this week. Why would anyone give 2 shits about Dave Mastiff right now in the first place? Yep. How is this? Why is he the harbinger babyface for this 6-man tag match? He's got, he goes all the way to the bottom now. Get him off TV for a little bit.
He could do with going until next year, come back with a new character. I'd say a new look, but he won't have one. And just see if you can do something with him in a year's time, Travis. Because right now, you're pushing him into people's living rooms and into matches where not only he doesn't belong, but it's like we don't want to see him in them. It's dull, it's boring, it's repetitive, and this is why people are looking at NXT UK and going, it's not actually that good at the minute.
And flat out, he's just, in all due respect to Dave Mastiff, he's just not captivating to watch on television.
No. No, he's had 2 chances on pay-per-view. They were adequate at best.
Yeah.
And, just have the balls to accept defeat with some of these wrestlers. It's like Dave Mastiff experiment, it's failed. Joe Coffey experiment for now, it's failed. They've served the roles that you needed them to play. They've put over who you needed them to put over. Let's move them on or give them a break and delve into the rest of the fucking roster.
Exactly. Now we talk about Ligero and Noam Dar, and man, I put the tweet out. This just made me sick to watch. And I know you're a huge Noam Dar fan. I'm not as big of a fan, not really a fan at all of Dar. I don't get it. I really don't. Yeah. And why are we doing this for another failed fucking Noam Dar experiment where A, he's just either going to get injured again, or B, they're just not going to know whether to heal him or face him, so they're going to null and void him and no one's going to care. I'm feeling like this is setting up for Dar and Devlin for the title, but I don't want to see that.
Yeah. Nope, me neither. I think, because obviously this was recorded well in advance of quarantines and lockdowns, etc., and cancellations of shows, they were heading towards heel Dar versus babyface Devlin in Ireland, because obviously it doesn't matter who you put against Devlin in Ireland, he's the babyface. But now it's just like this happened, this match against Ligero happened, and now there's nothing to capitalise on. He's going to get a kid, I think, next week, the week after. That's obviously going to build him to a potential cruiserweight championship shot. Beating the only 2 real cruiserweights on the roster.
Yeah.
But do you know what? I think Noam Dar is a born heel. He can't be babyface. But yeah, I like him. I'm a fan of Noam Dar. But he's another one. Travis, it's like he move him on and bring someone up underneath him.
Pretty much. Noam Dar gets the win in a competitive match, not a squash match, but god damn it, man. It's just like with Travis Banks, we find ourselves now with Ligero. What was the point of all these vignettes week after week from the UK Performance Center saying he's working hard and trying to get his momentum back? For what?
Yep. And I say if I was Ligero now, I'd be asking for my release, because the money's all very well, and it's like 2 nights a month, every other month. Great, but you're doing more harm to your image and your career than anything else.
Some guys don't care.
Sorry.
Some guys just flat out don't care about what this does to tarnishing a legacy. I'd like to think, and he just comes off as a guy who does care about that kind of shit, where money isn't everything at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy comes to mind right now.
Yeah, and you know what? I always thought Ligero was one of them people who cared more about the business and putting on great matches for the fans than how much he was getting paid for it. Yeah. There's old war stories of him travelling to 3 different towns in England on one day, and they all being like 100 miles apart, and him arriving barely in time for the matches, but he got there and got them done anyway. And that's character building of someone who really cares and doesn't care about the money. But right now, it's just like, this match didn't get out of first gear. Neither man looked like they cared. And what the fuck was that springboard back elbow by Ligero, where he just crumbled against the ropes? So just like, what are you doing with your career right now?
Yeah, that was a little ugly. Well, let's go backstage and hear from another loser, Travis Banks interview. Want to take this one?
Yep, Isaiah Williams replacing Radzi at last. Please let this be a long-term thing. I would prefer to hear from Williams, 100 times a day than Radzi once a week. He asks Travis Banks about Jordan Devlin. He says they have history in Coventry, and Banks promises to be the first ever Kiwi champion in NXT UK history. No one cares, and he's wrong, by the way, Travis Banks. He won't, even if he beat Jordan Devlin, which he doesn't, for the title, he wouldn't be the first Kiwi champion in NXT UK history, because Toni Storm was originally born in New Zealand and grew up in Australia. Therefore, she's the first Kiwi champion in NXT UK history.
Way to go, Travis Banks.
What are they even doing, Travis? It's just like, why? Why are we watching this anymore?
Maybe for little hidden gems like Danny Luna versus Amale. I like Danny Luna. I don't think she's ready for the rocket they apparently want to strap to her, having Kaylee Ray come out and attack her. But I
mean, you know, I would say she is ready. She's been through a lot very fast on the indies, you know, from basically no one to a semi-superstar in like Progress and Dragon Pro Wrestling in Wales, etc. Which, can I just, before we get into this match and what happened, can I just point out, I am pretty sure that Francesca Williams, the new NXT UK ring announcer, I'm pretty sure that she announced Danny Luna from London when she's Welsh. Always has been Welsh and always been announced from Wales.
That's like saying Lex Luger was Canadian.
Exactly. Get it right.
What the fuck? You're right. What is happening to this brand? It's like ever since Triple H got demoted, it's all gone to shit.
If this is Shawn Michaels' best, then I hate to see it worse. Jesus Christ.
Did they teach this at the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy to get locations wrong? All that shit?
Hang on, let me just compose. Okay. The match itself was what? A minute, if that,
Nothing.
Before Kaylee Ray comes in?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a blink. It was a sneeze of time. Ray comes in, attacks them both, gets on the microphone, says now she's done with Toni Storm. She's here to let everyone know the division belongs to her. And then Danny Luna tries her best to fight back, but gets demolished. And is that the end of the segment, Travis? I forgot. I think that's it, isn't it?
Kaylee Ray came out and jumped her from behind, started to talk shit, cutting a promo. Then out of nowhere, Danny Luna got her heat back and super kicked her right in the face. And but Kaylee Ray kind of turned it around and hit a gory bomb finisher on her, and that was the segment.
And that's leading to Kaylee Ray versus Danny Luna. I believe next episode. I believe.
At least it's not Effie Valkyrie in her poses.
Do you know what? This woman is only, 4 or 5 weeks old in NXT UK, and she can already piss off. I'm growing to hate her, Travis.
It really feels like I'm at a Comic-Con convention and she's like one of the chicks walking around dressed up like a superhero. I'm sorry. I'm sure she's talented, but I'm not seeing this fucking, what they try to build her up on commentary as, this phenom and all this shit. I'm just seeing an average worker at best, to be honest.
Yep, mid-card. She's got mid-card written all over her. But I think, like you said last week, they'll push her as Kaylee Ray's next challenger after Piper Niven.
Yeah.
And, once Kaylee Ray's beat her, then I'm sure she'll topple down the pile and find a home in the mid-card to be, looking at the lights for the next so-called huge sensation.
I saw a rumor on Twitter this week, Matt, and it ended up being false, but it got me thinking. And the rumor was they were talking about sending people down there that have years of experience but aren't like veterans, and people are sick of seeing like Natalya. Like they're thinking of sending Ruby Riott down to NXT UK and adding her to the division. So, and it was false, but I'm like, Ruby Riott, that might not be a bad idea. People like that are just so underutilized and insanely talented and young. I don't want to see Natalya and Beth Phoenix in NXT UK at all. That's not what I mean by that, But I wouldn't mind. I'm not saying make her the face of the division, but it's something fucking different. And Ruby Riot's fucking talented, and she's good. Way better than Valkyries and shit.
Do you know what? I'd be up for that as long as they brought them in to enhance Isla Dawn and, women who need a push.
Yeah.
Because right now you're focusing on the wrong women. You've gone back to, obviously, your main focus is Kaylee Ray. She's the champion. The division, as sparse as it looks, I believe, and I'm going to stick by, my belief that the division is still better with her in charge of it than it was with Toni Storm in charge of it.
Right.
But, right now you're focusing on the same old faces. Piper Niven. She's been there a year, Piper Niven now, and you've done nothing with her. Toni Storm, she'll be back in a week or two on television. You're focusing on her again. I'm pretty sure she's going to play into the Piper Niven Kaylee Ray storyline, like I said, with a heel turn, which means the focus will be on Toni Storm again in the long run. It's like you're focusing on the wrong people now. You've got people like Isla Dawn ready to go and a bit more investment in her. And I know she's doing everything in the performance centre and in the gym that she can do to get, prepared and get better. But they're not giving her the stage.
You know what else is hilarious to me? Did you notice how the NXT UK's opening graphic now, they've changed up the graphics a little bit and thrown in some talent. I love how Nina Samuels is in the opening now. We haven't seen her in like 4 fucking months.
Where the fuck's Nina Samuels gone? Do you know what? But I think, you say that, I think 4 months off might actually do us some good.
If you see her work in progress and over there, she's really good. It's just over here she's booked like cannon fodder job or bullshit. And that goofy stuff too. Like, remember at the Download Festival, she was doing that, interviewing fans, walking in the mud, just making her look like a fucking schmuck.
Well, I think now with, obviously with Jazzy Gabbert off to wherever she's going to, Ginny needs something. So I think bring the House of Couture stable to NXT UK. Put Nina Samuels with her, just like you've done in Progress. Add a few more names under her. And just maybe try and push that group as the dominant heel faction in NXT UK.
Not even if it's a whole stable, but Nina and Jenny together is money if you ever seen them in Progress. And I couldn't agree more. And there's no reason she shouldn't have just been coincided with her and Jazzy, even with Jazzy there 6 months ago. It could have been a little, 3-piece. Right. Fucking.
Yep.
I'm very cussy this week, and I apologize. And that's due to all the circumstances in the world. And I'm going to try to class it up a bit. Man, not only is the world frustrating, but one of our favorite brands in wrestling is frustrating. That makes for a potty mouth Travis.
Oh, my God. Oh, what is happening?
I don't know.
What is happening to our lives, Travis?
We do still have the main event to talk about. Finn Balor, Alexander Wolf.
Oh, God, yeah.
I'm guessing you weren't a fan.
What was there to be a fan of? I know you're a big Finn Balor fan, but from this just, puts weight to everything I've been saying about Finn Balor for the last 2-3 months.
I didn't hate the match. I thought it was a decent little match. Obviously, on a bigger stage and more time, it could have been so much more. But I'm at the point watching this now, it's like, Finn Balor shouldn't even fucking be here. That's my issue I took away from the very end of this episode. You know what? It's me. I don't think Finn Balor should be here at all. He's not needed. And that's why I zoned out in this match. Not that it was a bad match. It's just I have this resentful shit going through my head watching this match. Because he was brought in to boost ratings. Don't give me that shit in his promo. That's totally why he's here, because nobody watches this fucking show. Fair to say?
Yeah. Yep, it's fair to say. And had they announced Finn Balor a week or two, or a month or two even, before the tapings actually happened, which they didn't. The only time they announced Finn Balor was going to appear was a few days before this aired. Had you announced it before you even went to Coventry, you might have sold a few more tickets.
Are you talking about the little vignette with him in the passport? That little video?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I don't know, because I don't watch NXT UK, or excuse me, NXT. I don't know if they aired that on NXT or not.
No, nor do I. I watch Pete Dunne matches and then I turn off.
Yeah. I know you weren't a fan of this. Neither was I, really. Balor gets the win, obviously. I mean, if Alexander Wolf won this, I mean, Jesus Christ. What?
I mean,
let's try to take
honestly,
positives out of this. What was some?
Sure to watch.
Sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
I think there's a little lag there, but I was just saying, like, it was a disappointment. It was a chore to watch. The fans, my God, they hijacked this. I think the fans helped to ruin this, like they helped to ruin Gallus versus Birch and Lorcan like a few weeks back. And it just wasn't a good main event for me.
The fans know that attend all these NXT UK shows, like you said earlier in the show, and it couldn't be more nail on the head. They are not your typical SmackDown, Raw, even your fucking NXT fans, not even your AEW fans. These are some of the most intelligent, educated fans in the entire world, the UK indie wrestling scene, right? They're having they're having Vince McMahon's dick slapped on their faces watching some of this filler, trite, mundane bullshit. And they know it. And you guys in the UK, that's why I love you guys sometimes, but it's also why I hate you. Because if you don't get what you want, you are going to hijack shit in 2 seconds.
Yeah, agree. And these are Progress fans, Travis, and ICW fans who...
Some of the most cutthroat fucking fans in the world, by the way. Progress is a punk rock wrestling promotion for anyone unaware.
And if they don't get what they want, it's like they will kick off. So they're used to seeing what they want. They're used to getting what they want. And obviously it's a completely different story when they come to an NXT UK taping.
And at the end of the day, Matt and I aren't those entitled fucking fans, right? We don't have the tissue boxes if Goldberg beat The Fiend. It sucked, but it's not going to ruin our week, right? But this... it's what they did. It's exactly what they did to 205 Live. Started out with a lot of steam, a lot of build. This had way more than 205 Live. You know, NXT UK with every takeover has been pretty goddamn good. And it was easy for them to get that momentum up at those showcase shows because 205 Live doesn't get pay-per-views, obviously. I'm at a point now just watching these, especially the weekly shows where you guys are fed up and you can see it. And WWE just does not give a shit. And if people want, that's why this brand should exist. And I'm going to tie it all together. I'm going to make sense to the whole you and I aren't entitled fans. They want to watch an NXT UK. They want to watch a 205 Live to get the booking they actually want to see because they know they're going to get dicked around on Raw and SmackDown. A bunch of, quote, storytelling, heels always winning 50-50 shit. They want an escape from that. But you're dwindling the shit down into your other brands, and they're not successful brands as it is. This is dumb to do this. It's not Raw. Stop making it mundane. Stop giving us filler bullshit. Stop trying to boost fucking ratings and just showcase the fucking guys you brought in the first goddamn place to showcase. That fucking simple.
Yeah, agreed. In front of an audience that are smarter than you give them credit for as well, and who know what they want. I mean, I liken this to ECW fans attending a WCW Pro taping. That's basically what you're getting.
Yeah, when like Hack would come out, they renamed the Sandman Hack, and WCW fans watch. Yeah. What do you? And I dare to ask, what do you grade this episode of NXT UK?
Well, do you know what, Travis? Before we grade it, can I just say that they cut the episode before we saw Tyler Bate come out and brawl with Finn Balor. Because what originally happened was Finn Balor got on the microphone after this match and asked who was next in NXT UK. And then Tyler Bate came out and they had a little brawl around ringside, which I was assuming they'd include. But, you know, instead they did that, you know, to an extent with a little backstage thing on, was it NXT UK or WWE.com's website, whatever, where Finn Balor just stared Tyler Bate down backstage before he left.
Yeah, I saw that, and it makes about as much sense as giving Tony Storm another babyface heel title run. You know, I don't get it. Do not get it.
As far as this episode goes, I'm going to give this a D. I did not enjoy it at all. It felt like it went on for a day. And honestly, you know, you know how much I love NXT UK Travelers, but we're at a point now where the brand is all over the place as far as booking and stories and consistency and direction. I don't think they've got any of that at the minute.
Are we in life support territory yet?
Not yet, but we're certainly laying under a lorry on the motorway, screaming for help.
I'm going to give this show a first time ever grade on anything on the channel. I'm going to grade this one a P for pathetic. A pathetic way to start off a new set of tapings that could have started off fresh from the goddamn... The marathon that was York is just pathetic. And D for depressing to see when you and I were so hyped when we first started the show almost 3 years ago, and just go back and watch this episode or pretty much any episode from the York tapings and watch any night from the UK tournament. How is this the same brand?
It's not the same brand because you've not got the same leader. You've not got the same buzz around it. I think people have, very quickly cottoned on to what NXT UK was going to be and either tuned out or sporadically watch. It's a travesty. Right now, it's a travesty, to the point where tickets aren't selling, people don't care, and I think that, the drip feeding bits here and bits there and bits not really making sense is partly because right now they'd usually be pushing TakeOver Dublin hard, but they obviously know it's probably not going to happen now. So all that booking has gone out the window. They're trying to make up for it maybe, and in doing so, it's coming across poorly. Like I said, little consistency, little direction, and they really don't know where to aim the episodes now because we're, 99% chance that we're not going to Dublin as originally planned. Yep.
And that was this week's episode of NXT UK. I can only fathom what this week's is going to bring. It's got to be better than this. It's got to be, right?
Well, with Gallus versus Dave Mastiff, Flash Morgan Webster, and Trent Seven, spoiler, as the main event, I'm hoping it'll be better. But then, 6 men we've seen in the ring 1,000 times in a year and 7 months. So, who knows?
Who knows? I do know this. One more time before we get out of here. Something that's always good and always consistent. Where can everyone catch us and all that we do?
You can catch us isolated at the minute, Travis, in our houses. But online, you can find me at least on Twitter at The Perfect Tenant. You can buy our official merchandise on our online store, unionsmack.bigcartel.com. You can buy my Undertaker book, A Trip Down Death Valley, from completelynovel.com. That will pass the quarantine season quite pleasantly, I hope. And, do support us and obviously other independent podcasts who are going to keep you entertained during this trying period.
There's definitely enough pages in your Undertaker book to get them through quarantine season.
There is, yeah. It's like 1,000 pages, or was before I had to cut it down. But the writing's small enough that if you enlarged it by 1 or 2 points, it'd probably be 1,000 pages.
It's the veritable Bible on the Undertaker, guys. By the way, speaking of Taker, before we get out of here, did you see that clip of him today with his tiger in his hot tub with Michelle McCool?
Yeah. What the fuck is happening to the world? We've officially entered just madness. The madness stage has kicked in, and we've got like 6 months to a year to go yet.
Do you know what he named the tiger?
No, I don't. Go on.
Paul. Sorry, that was an awful joke. As always on Twitter, at the Hibiki TMD. That red subscribe button right down below. Hit it. All the goodness, retro gaming, pro wrestling, heavy metal podcast, every nerdy funny bone. We're going to tickle it with gloves. Sanitary as always. ProWrestlingJournal.com. Thank you to Joe Overman featuring us over here. The official podcasting network of PWJ. Check out all the writers, all the goodness. Until next week, Union Smack. Cheerio, mates.